Take a step back and understand the business a little bit more, Jay. Like logistically, what is it like, operating a luxury wear brand, and even more specifically, the Standard?
Yeah, man. So, it's cool. So I think I have to kind of tell the story of what even made me open to wanting to do a community, because I think that will piece it together, because there's still, somewhat two separate sides to my business. Right. So, of course, with Affluent, which is my luxury line, it's great. A lot of my clientele was able to come from, essentially I worked at a luxury retailer, became one of the top salesmen in the world, then was able to transition that book of business to my own. So I already had a really healthy start to my business. And then this is one of those games to where the more that you do good work, the more your business begins to exponentially increase, because people begin to share, right? Who you are, what you do, as you continue to grow. But what really was very interesting for me is, even though I was having these great months in business, right, every time I would travel, I still would have this anxiety, right, in the pit of my stomach. And the reason I still had this anxiety, because even though I was, you could do the $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month, at the end of the day, I would always have to think about, man, who else do I have in the pipeline going next month?
I got to do it again next month.
Yeah, like what do I need to do? What other business building activity do I need to do? What are the new client do I need to get in the funnel? Because at the end of the day, nothing's worse in business than losing momentum, right? Because momentum can die very, very fast. Now, when you're on the hamster wheel, it's easy to keep it running, but my anxiety was always like, man, I don't want to get off and then have to start this up again, because I know how tough it'd be. But I didn't like that, because what I started realizing, and this is what took a lot of humbling, I started realizing that, man, as I am right now, I don't have a business. I have a high income skill set, because my time's still connected to my income, and I only get paid when I work. So how do I create something that allows for me to slowly start leveraging my time and disconnecting it, so it's not this one-of-one situation? So what I started thinking about, I was like, man, it would be really cool if maybe I could create an online product, right? And I gained a lot of inspiration from Ralph Lauren, because the cool thing about Ralph is, you have Purple Label and Black Label, right? The expensive Ralph, but you also see Ralph and Macy's, right? You see Ralph and Marshall. And what's so interesting is they've been able to hit people at multiple price points. And I knew I had a market that I was not being able to tap into, because I didn't have a lower priced item that could still speak to them and then potentially nurture them to Affluent. So at the time, I had a good friend, is now my business partner, Fees. He's also has a podcast platform called The Roommates. And I was talking with him, and we were having some conversation about potentially partnering with each other to create a clothing company, right? And at the time, a year or so went by, we didn't act on it. But one day, he called me and was like, man, I think we should do it. And that's actually what started the Standard. So, first drop, sold out, right? Completely online product. And I'm like, this is it. But then we started realizing that, wow, okay, we have these people that, like the clothing, but man, they want more. And then that's what led us to doing the community piece, which I think has been really big. And the cool thing about it is, we run our community off Discord in terms of the platform. And, we have guys all across the United States. Now, a lot of people might say, okay, well, if you have this, group all across the United States, man, how are you reaching all of them? Right, because that was a question we started having. Because, man, one thing when you're building a community is you need to get them plugged in very early. Yeah. Right. You don't want them to go 60, 90 days and they haven't been able to feel it right in person. So what we started doing is we started being able to identify guys who are leaders in certain markets. Right. And we started being able to tap into them. And now they run events in their own cities. So now, instead of us having to go to every city, run an event, or, run a meetup with the guys, these guys are running their own events. These guys are running their own meetups. They're taking their own pictures together, and now they're putting in the group. And that's what's been, I think, really powerful for us, because, we want to create a culture to where guys aren't joining just to be with the Fees, or guys aren't joining just to be with Joe. They're joining to be in an environment of high-performing guys that network each other. They want to do more, be more, have more, and they want to be the quote-unquote the standard, right? They don't want to set the standard. They want to be the standard. And that's what's been, I think, the next lever for our business is cultivating that, because now what it does is it removes us in a way, and it puts the onus on the community, because they know what the standard is, they know what the expectation is, and they're coming here for that, not for us, because we can only be in so many places. So if you build your business where you're the figurehead, you know, that might be cool to a certain degree, but it's going to be harder to scale because you can't be everywhere, every place, you know, at once.
Yeah, and was the taking the photos, was that something that was encouraged, or were they kind of just doing this on their own?
So they were doing it on their own, but I think that part of it is them also kind of modeling what we do, right? Because every time we do an event, we take photos, right? And it's even getting to the point now to where we're starting to set up to where when these guys do events, especially depending on how large it is, right, we'll give them a videographer. It's like I'll be able to find them a videographer in their own city, set it all up, and all they have to do is just show up with the guys. Right? So now, you know, it's really cool because you're able to scale yourself with the content. Right? Because usually, like, you know, you'd have to fly out with your video or get the video. Well, no, like, okay, you set up the event, I'll find the videographer, you're gonna be the point of contact for the videographer. I've done most of the work for you. Now, boom. And then when you really start getting it, right, you create those SOPs. So like, okay, step 1, make sure you guys get an entry shot. Step 2, make sure you get an outro shot. Step 3, get some lifestyle, knock it out.
Right.
Right. And now what begins to happen is you have all these guys in different cities doing these events, and we're getting content at every single event. So now, like, you're getting a space where you never have to really run out of content. And of course, there's challenges, right? Like, you can do challenges because, you know, I handle part of the dressing side of the community. So I might be like, hey guys, today's Suit Saturday, right? I challenge all y'all to dress up based on what you learned in the Perception Economics course, right? Shoot some pictures, right? I mean, and then there's so many ways, and even, you know, incentivizing your community with like points and different things like that. It's just, there's so many ways to build it. There's so many ways to incentivize the behavior you want to see. And once you really start to lock down on that, you really will see exponential growth.
So with that communication piece, is that why you guys are using like Discord? Because it's like it's right now the easier platform to have like a text like communication with the members.
Absolutely. I mean, it's extremely easy, and then you're able to have threads in it too, right? So like we have, you know, a real estate thread, we can have a finance thread, we can have a you know, style thread, and you have all these different threads within the standard Discord to where whatever your interest is, you can tap in, and you'll have industry experts that kind of lead that thread, or kind of the guys that are in that thread that'll lead the conversation. But it allows for it not to get too cluttered, because like, let's say you're using like a group me, you know, people can be talking about 15, 20, 30 different things that aren't necessarily related to that group me. But if you create a platform to where it's like, hey guys, if you're talking about finance, don't put it in the style, you know, chat. You need to put it in the finance chat. You're able to have clear forms of communication that are also on topic. Because that's one thing, right? If you start making a community and, you know, people talking about this, that, it doesn't stay on topic, and people tend to lose interest, and nobody wants to have to scroll to have to find where the sauce was.
Just another group chat, like an iMessage group chat.
It becomes too overwhelming, to where now if you can segment it, it becomes a lot easier for people to be able to identify the information, right? Versus having to scroll and not knowing what's on topic versus what's not.
That makes a lot of sense. And so, did you guys start on Discord?
Yeah, we started on Discord, man.
So what would it look like just from the outside, from the inside looking out, right? Somebody who might have started or built a small community outside of Discord. What would it now look like to set the expectation that this is now what we're going to use, and transferring those people to get them comfortable and in the swing of things with communicating on an app like Discord?
So here's the thing, like, Discord isn't hard. The hardest thing is just going to be if people haven't downloaded the app before, right? So there's always going to be some, you know, initial resistance if somebody's not used to doing like Discord, or they don't have the app in the beginning. But in terms of like user interface, it's actually really, really easy. It's not hard. And I'll also say part of the blessing for us, shout out to Ryan Barker, is one of the guys in our community. He's like the moderator for our Discord. So he actually has set up a lot of it for us. Now, granted, it's not like it's rocket science to set up, but if you can have somebody who will set it up for you, right, that makes it a lot easier. And if you struggle with that, I mean, there's Fiverr, Upwork. I mean, it's not hard to find those resources to have somebody set that up. But Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be hard. You know, you would tell your community, hey, download the app. Here's what we're going to do. And then lead with the benefits, too. Because if you're going to leave a platform, they're probably going to be like, man, why are we leaving? I'm used to this.
Yeah.
Right? And if somebody's used to that, it probably gives them a little bit more trepidation. I wanted to move to something new. So as long as you can communicate the pros, I think, to your community as well of why you're moving, how it's going to be so much better for them, it'll be easier to get them to transfer.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And even taking a quick step backwards with the momentum piece, because I know you mentioned that momentum and not losing that momentum was pretty much the main motivation for creating a community in the first place. When the momentum of new subscribers and new members, what did you see a heavier impact and spike in membership when you guys introduced the product as something new, or do you guys see now with having videographers and content showing the experiences that you're having more spikes in membership? Yeah,
so I think it's a few things, man. That's actually pretty cool. Like, number one, we actually haven't done any ads yet, so everything that we've done so far has been organic now.